파체제 파체제 마체제 고단 다기 루
Father, your holy body and my body.
Father, your holy body and my body. Mother, your holy body and my body.
파체제 송단 다기 나 마체제 송단 다기 나
Father, your holy speech and my speech.
Father, your holy speech and my speech. Mother, your holy speech and my speech.
파체제 투단 다기 이 마체제 투단 다기 이
Father, your holy mind and my mind.
Father, your holy mind and my mind. Mother, your holy mind and my mind.
파체제 연된 다 연된 마체제 연된 다 연된
Father, your holy qualities and my qualities.
Father, your holy qualities and my qualities. Mother, your holy qualities and my qualities.
파체제 칠레 다기 레 마체제 칠레 다기 레
Father, your holy actions and my actions.
Father, your holy actions and my actions. Mother, your holy actions and my actions.
더예매 직도 진길로 더예매 직도 진길로
Oh Father, please bless me.
O Father, please bless me
So that your holy body, speech, and mind,
so that your holy body, speech, and mind, qualities and actions becomes inseparable from mine. O Mother, please bless me so that your holy body, speech, and mind, qualities and actions become inseparable from mine.
오 무니 무니 마무니 샥자 무니 소하
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Soha.
Sangye tamche zibeku,
Sangye Tamje Nipeku,
dorje zimbe ngowani, Kuncho sumge tsawate, Lama namla chatselo, Bisum chochur shukpe lamadang, Rinchen chosum chawe tamchela, Techin mebe tenyang gyatsache, Shindo nyambe lutru chatselo, Om Namo Manchu Shri, Namo Sushri, Namo Tamshri. Om Namo Manchu Shri, Namo Sushri, Namo Tamshri. Om Namo Manchu Shri, Namo Sushri, Namo Tamshri. Soha.
Yin 尼别吉，内天的王将老所王的。康大天大天我西边那天把月边夜天决定把马里家园当作结结结，结交结月结老所王的。我送的大罗金在天上，有大天边我大结结结。天天就早天到结结边，多见的边做老所王的。上年咱们这边马天爷，马上那个年天着我，这些老早今夜天半夜，整晚多见见老所王的，特别年马的去弄着的，国家面面着我马波。家园在八年我中前边，将我多见见老所王，你的所就见叫我当见的，刚给不刚见当呀，大家在那先到另外面，将我多见见老所王，你些个多见见个老你，都会解决这缘就会，到面前见着我见见面。老所王的姐姐把姐姐也老闹，弟姐让我也要怎么？最后别拿起就总结，大年老妈就老所王，过去一些的把那庄园，今我搞老些大年。人家家当都今天别做，上就当别我老所王。一面连接个也是报道，一面天有光觉，他妈的这个上天道界，讲究在我做牛，今年老妈今年也到今年刚着结正的，今年上天讲究报道，前面这也没在。别当报道前面当阳都结家家生在，谁也年对我做个结天结中的八结所，今年老妈今年也能今年刚着结正的，今年上天讲究报道前面这也没在。别当报道前面当阳都结家家生在了，谁也年对我做个结天结中的八结所，今年老妈今年他们今年刚着结正。今年上天讲究报道前面这也没在，别当报道前面当阳都结家家生在了，谁也年对我做个结天结中的八结所。六到六松松，我到别的老美国松都今年呐，别的都干嘛的高松，这到这些年到年节，年上这到这些天吧，对也到这那到我这多，过些到这老马年吧。今夜老伯主，我的这些我当街当，把我当年年讲。刚着当年刚着马，刚老当年是我的，爹我就老这边也让，爹让娘马老年前年，就家见到整个过一年，你学的就我那就是阿拉拉我，阿耶阿拉的我，前面刚着从南街，这老娘跟着我，爹姐我当街当，把我当年年前。看着当年看着马，看着当年是我年，叫我金波一年个这夜，六年黄道月呀个夜，唱着边马这边丢我去，年家忙着拿了金巴，阿拉我阿耶，阿拉嘞我这边刚着走那去，这真个两个。我的姐姐把当街当，把我当年年叫嘛，看着当年看着嘛，看到当年是我的，有我些娘家公子把大姐我把家当公主，大姐见到就爹见姥姥，你姐爹见到了这都是啊啦，哎呀，让你我见面看着走哪？ 自知老六根子我今夜把当街当包当年年家高家当年高家嘛高老当年说的这些特别前年间包节这些方面高大的嘛这些就密切的钱呀这些就也那年吧阿拉拉拉拉我阿依阿拉勒我前面刚着走那些就把了我的我的也就把当街当把我当年年就嘛刚着当年刚着嘛过了当年就完的那些也早几别别嘛下来街上加别前方归年就嘛就别没丢我这边就我鸟到就我这阿拉拉拉拉我阿依阿拉勒我这边刚着走那这个两个的我这些就把当街当把我当年年就嘛刚着当年刚着嘛关了当年走我的让这就年那去让这些我也做些关键等我今天这点做些结巴也解决巴也这些情况子阿拉拉拉拉我阿依阿拉勒我这边刚着走那谢谢老六观众。
泡泡跟着长老
教在了这个大概的把这些那中间的这边考教不过就老跟我给跟着金宝堂讲究这边跟着金宝堂他知道就是这这中间的什么那我接下来解决马上决定的了你把就是样的这讲究什么金宝宝接的我就接了这把这的金宝堂没就往娘那把他给我我的大呀大姐姐多把那把到我的上姐姐的这咱的把这的个讲究什么金宝宝现在这我就你个姐苗早姐姐把刚老姐姐把这大金宝上面就把这把的我姐姐的老把家的姐姐苗把讲究什么金宝宝现在我就给这大的把这大姐不老的姐姐小姐宝姐姐宝姐姐宝嘛刚老到现在就把这个说明就把今天那把到我这的帮我的那让你东那把让到我就是到我做东把你做了东把你去买东把你来讲做也买也那的也到做我当的些当那把去把那东把我家里就到街东把你今年没把嘛就把嘛搞这么没把这么那就没把搞这里把这大洋的东把你了这面做面的西面那把就面那面那面去面你面一面是面这面去面这面这面去面到米街旁边比街旁边一些那把去面刚去把这样面到马里把西把面刚去这边把这样现在中央网上公交网上国网上那面一些面都把面马都把样面都下来把这样能讲究什么那头发面别小了去了就把这个想法了第几年的生了就把面别打把面别去就落来讲到年给人这边大许多就说那我这边当街下去了就把这个想法了今天让那面把样打把这边讲究到我是我上就说就来那就说就把这到前边啊就把前边那边啊没了把那那边啊东啊到街到就个西边没这边那点把就把这这给了就把这到前边啊没把跌当个点个点把我怎么点不就说我叫这把讲究怎么就没就来就来把这怎么叫我今年今年的给的讲究怎么金宝宝现在我就老六座学校我今天六座这些把弟弟给那这些把弟弟知道这些让我现在学了就把这到什么什么了就把这些弟弟就把那去在让我中间的弟弟搞真的是想把下山的的我今天在我就到大街大街边过就到老大边老毛也到这个这边昨天的是什么我的多卡拉
拉切别念着当
多
拉
么年我
我
也
觉
自己
中
我也
别
多
特
多
主
主
啊
我波拉
波拉玛
我也
耶
把年的
念所看的所拉上萨阿嘎萨玛拉达强达拉萨玛拉亚别阿嘎萨玛拉达强萨。阿嘎萨玛拉达强达拉萨玛拉亚别德亚塔
我的我的不拉我的不拉我的不的多巴巴我就上去对对求了多巴的没巴的
拉多这瓦吉拉别巴吉没的处理苗拉就先求高了有啊给日东扎解决我的面对那边见到找我的天官对接可松所觉扎解的就点的得了
龙之觉mo 主娘多多我心结了，心上教出去接天了，丢松你叫我接别也去了，宝宝见别了做。觉当天知我知报道，向你地上先知报道，把son就叫金宝也，主娘多多报心结。一上就告我今天就多天了，等我你别一切老早找不了走我你，就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多报心结了，年要的是报送告别，主句一点帮真别。老天见别叫做老苏，你就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，你姐姐当别在前年，快点也点着面子，把所姐姐见在老苏，你就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，天天见年就到今年，前面今年这个年，这就今年我都老说你，就当天知我知报，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝。主娘多多我心结了，句句也句毛鬼吧，年天天天别见见，老大天也周报老苏，你就当天知我知报。向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，故son结报道娘高，我命给个见着个。开着上街一去了走，你就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，结了上街一天报，为的了也灭当街接见路上去见了苏，就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了。更多的天天忙里把天气的两年大钱把昨天给的讲着老苏，你就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，结了上见人你别去，真别去两别说你。这边见见真报了苏完的，就当天知我知报道，向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，三爷也当街的姐姐，快点也的热东西，一见公主见见老苏完的，就当天知我知报，向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝。主娘多多我心结了，结了上亲戚家亲戚，老天地白多的些，一见老上一见老苏，你就当天知我知报，向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝。主娘多多我心结了，地上见我见见老姐，那年见上梦啊你。一见老上见了老苏，你就当天知我知报。向你地上先就报道，拉son就叫金宝，主娘多多我心结了，结了上年月年节，天天别两年到结我，这就老上能结老苏，就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结，结了面年节当跑那电马那最弄的。这前一些见见老苏，你就当天知我知报，向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝。主娘多多我心结了，啦忙到天边的，用到月光多姐姐，姐姐妈妈想报老苏，你就当天知我知报，向你地上先正报道，拉son就叫金宝也，主娘多多我心结了，别当别上街我命个，遇见别去见面的我，不见八天一切老苏。就当天知我知报道，向你地上先就报， 拉松就家就金波也出牛多多过心结，龙王节老早用足了，自己给准备大节。开中王多节老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上心中报，拉松就家就金波。出牛多多过心结了，天开节同我年报。接着也接的三生关，接着当毛把着老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上心中报。拉松就家就金波，出牛多多过心结了，面面见再见面面走，三阳节见到见别。阳间准备多觉老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上心中报，拉松就家就金波。出牛多多过心结了，就到一年就到今年，松就给家上木些。开着年节真就老苏，你就当这真我去报。上年节上心中报，拉松就家就金波。出牛多多了心结了，上浪节多报到今年，协助节点别节节，老道真节节节老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上心就报到老松就家就金波，出牛多多过心结了，年冬节真面马归心，老松节点别年报。老老地主我老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就报，老松就家就金波。出牛多多过心结了，就叫我年报老上着，老王米高些哪里？也是给你家做老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就报。
拉松就家家金波，
出牛多多过心结了，拉上到就进去见的，就快点有老身的，这件我想报老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上真就报道，拉松就家就金波。出牛多多过心结了，真面见你别开张见，大这件拉松三个
天就
用不老苏，你就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就报。拉松就家就金波一，出牛多多过心结。我老大姐也真老就协助些别浪大姐，姐姐点别真不老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上真就报道，拉松就下就金波。
出牛多
多过心结了，今年我年节就这的，那多钱就多钱节，节节公就节节老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就报。拉松就下就金波一，出牛多多过心结，面面见年子自己都住进也点别结心的，住进我住了定老苏，就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就我。拉松就下就金波一，出牛多多过心结了，帮多节约点大心的，列些给就叫结果。用这给的叫做老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上真就报道，拉松就家家金波一，出牛多多过心结了，接着这个送到的，天天给这边过报。我的天边年报老苏，你就当这真我去报。下年节上真就报道，拉松就家就金波，出牛多多过心结了，如果了先别心慌意，龙王节点别节节，节节真的叫做老苏，你就当这真我去报道，下年节上真就报道，拉松就家就金波也出牛多多过心结。要到天龙多当别去，妈妈给这些公婆。别真亮他们老苏的，就当这真我去报道，下年节上山就报道，老孙就家家金波也就能到到我亲戚了，你叫我你别都姐姐，贵的姐姐上边， Panchen Losang Choky Gyaltsen Ganden Mahamudra Rabten Choeling Buddhist Geshe Thubten Trinley Lama Chopa Ganden Mahamudra Giugno do xin ye la ye la ma sa je zo do wa da nie ka wa la xian ba lo ba ma zhou ge zhe ko jian ne na jian mo da jian mo ma yin be be san jiu jia jia qian bo Gui na da da ba xin ye la ba jie jie ko da da ge ba jie jie song da da ge
ye me jie do qian jie Ma che je ko do da ge ma che je so do da ge ma che je tu do da ge de me che do chang je
na lo
Namo la ye ke do lo do ne je ke tu ta do me ye ke ro wa kun je da na cho za ba tang je ke do da che ten do tang je ke do da ke che ten do
So, as Ganden Mahamudra said, so the vehicle of cause of emptiness as the vehicle of the sutra, which shows the correct view of reality of emptiness, which is shown the wisdom that realizes emptiness on the sutra teachings, and also in the vehicle of result, the Vajrayana, which shows the very subtle mind of clear light within the state of great bliss that realizes directly emptiness, such non-dual wisdom of great bliss and emptiness. So such ultimate wisdom of clear light, of great bliss that realizes the true nature of reality of emptiness, such wisdom is the essence of the antidote to the 84,000 mental defilements. So if you can meditate well on this, then the teachings of Buddha, the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, by that may the teachings of Buddha and the Lama Tsongkhapa may they spread and remain stable. So at this moment, as we listen to this Mahamudra of the whispered lineage of Ganden, this is exactly the same meaning. So very much I recite this verse of Kundan Tempedrome, which is talking, just is the same meaning as the Mahamudra, the Ganden Mahamudra. So by learning on that and practicing, then we can keep and spread and make stable the teaching and the lineage of Lama Tsongkhapa. There are many different ways of talking about emptiness, the emptiness of the self, the emptiness of phenomena, as it is clearly shown on the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom, which not understand only by words. It's not enough just to be able to say it. We need to think deeply between your own mind about its meaning. We need to understand and realize it. You need to put it into practice within your mind stream. So for that, first of all, without entering in contact, as Shantideva said, without entering in contact with the object of negation, you cannot apprehend its non-existence. So first you need to recognize what is the meaning of inherent existence. First you need to recognize, without entering in contact with the object of negation, you cannot apprehend its non-existence. So first you need to generate the mental image, the general meaning of inherent existence. Without first grasping at the mental image of inherent existence, it's not possible to comprehend its non-existence. Very often we talk about inherent existence. So first we need to stop the mind that grasps at inherent existence. It's like common winds. All our minds, all the states of mind, from the senses of mental, everything appears as being of inherent existence. Everything appears in an illusory way as being of inherent existence. So in our rough, gross mind, whatever appears to the gross mind, it all appears as being of inherent existence. Before I was reflecting myself, I was thinking, that the actual object of negation was the grasping at such appearance. Should be the actual object of negation. When I'm thinking now, the actual object of negation is the appearance of inherent existence. That's the actual object of negation. I changed my mind upon that. So if we say form and sound, whatever thing, it appears as being of inherent existence. Just not depending on anything in autonomous, independent way. As my teacher Geshe Thubten Trinley He was saying like this. If you think like this, everything appears, everything as if it exists in an autonomous, inherent way. That appearance itself is the actual object of negation. Now are they thinking, well, it's our appearance itself is the object of negation that we need to stop. Why we need to stop such appearance itself? Because everything appears as being of inherent existence. There is no. We are not able to perceive anything if not everything appears as being of inherent existence. Everything exists just by the mere imputation of the name, by the even the very subtle mind of clear light. It exists just as by the imputation of the name, but we cannot see it in this way. When we think about the very subtle mind of clear light, it's a very, very subtle mind. We cannot appear it. But in the moment that we are able to see it somehow, it will appear to us as being of inherent existence, something solid. Anything that appears to us, internal or external, it appears as being of inherent existence. So this such inherent existence appearance itself is the object of negation. So we need to stop such appearance. Many other great masters say that we need to stop such appearance to ourselves. I have seen it in many texts written in this way. When I think, well, nowadays, everything that appears to us as being of inherent existence, the appearance itself is the object of negation. But when we stop such appearance, when we look at whatever form it appears to us, if we think that the form itself is the object of negation, then we might come to our mind, we go into the nihilism, saying, oh, then the form itself doesn't exist if we need to block such appearance. If we think, oh, there is no form, it's not that form doesn't exist. It exists as a mere imputation of the name. That's what we need to think. It exists as a mere imputation of the name, but it doesn't exist as it appears of inherent existence. That's what we need to think. So such object of negation, we need to think well about it. It's something very important. We say the emptiness of inherent existence. We need to be clear which is the object of negation. So based, following advices of one's own guru, we need to ask if our guru is not alive and not present physically, then we should follow the teachings of the books of Lama Chopa, which is extremely clear. So we need to think clearly about the objects of negation. It's very important. Without accumulating great merits or just small merits or small wisdom, it's not possible to have clear perception of the lack of inherent existence. So if we have just small merits, you cannot even have a doubt about the inherent existence. We should at least have a correct assumption about emptiness. Without merits, there is not even a correct assumption. There is not even doubt about inherent existence. If we have great merits, then it's very easy to realize emptiness. It's very near to realize emptiness. Geshe Thubten would say, when we think about emptiness, the emptiness itself appears to us as being of inherent existence. The actual emptiness is not possible. When we talk about it just like the name of emptiness, when we think about emptiness and the general meaning of emptiness, just by the sound of emptiness itself, when we think about the meaning, the actual emptiness, we cannot come to our mind. Even when we think about emptiness, it still appears to us as being of inherent existence. When I was in Daramsala in the past, there were many other meditators making a retreat. There were many others staying in life retreat. There was some great masters such as Geshe Thubten Rinpoche and other masters from Geshe Thubten Trinley, and they were there. They were meditating on the profound view. At that time, the Dalai Lama called all those that like to meditate on shamatha and vipassana, on the profound view of emptiness, on the profound view that realizes emptiness. They were meditating on that. Geshe Thubten and many other great masters, they were meditating on shamatha. There was another master from Lhasa Ling, I don't remember his name now. They were meditating on shamatha, on calm abiding. Again, Topkye and Champa Wanda. They were meditating on calm abiding. There were like two groups. Some meditating on calm abiding, some meditating on profound view. Geshe Thubten Rinpoche was meditating on the profound view, vipassana, on emptiness. So he was saying. So even though the actual emptiness is not possible to appear to us, we need to think about meditate on the emptiness of one's own mind. So, if we're not able to see the actual emptiness, just the name of emptiness, just like the name of emptiness itself, just like the mental image. There is a difference between the actual mental image, the general meaning, and just the general name. When we have a generalized meaning, we have some meaning of it. When it's just a generalized name, we understand the generalized name doesn't mean we understand the generalized meaning. It's just a name. So in the beginning, when we realize emptiness, it's just by the generalized name. We don't even grasp the generalized meaning of it. So these clear aspects about emptiness I'd like to share with you. So Lama Tsongkhapa explained extremely clear emptiness, which is explained it extremely clear. Like the masters before him, they all explained about emptiness very well, but not as clear as Lama Tsongkhapa did. He made it very simple, very clear about emptiness, about also the union of great bliss and emptiness. When we read the text of Lama Tsongkhapa, it's very easy to understand, and it's very clear, appear clear in the mind. It's very different from others. As I said yesterday, the very subtle mind of clear light we need to think well about it. So in the Anuttara Yoga Tantra teachings, the moment of being able to teach, to enter in contact with the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, then we need really to think about the very subtle mind as we go through the process of dissolution of the elements, as water dissolves into earth, earth dissolves into water, water into fire, fire into wind, wind into the consciousness, and white vision, black vision, red vision, black vision, and clear light. When we have not much hurry, when we are in a state of relaxed state, then it's important to think well, to reflect well upon this, the very subtle mind of clear light. We need to think well about it. We need to think all about it. I think, oh, this is the meaning of it, how I can actualize the state of very subtle mind of clear light within the state of great bliss, and by actualizing the subtle mind of clear light within the state of great bliss to realize emptiness, we need to think about it again and again in a moment of calm, again and again. Not only 1 or 2 days, we need to do it again and again and again and again. We need to familiarize ourselves with this mind. When we're familiarized with it, then it comes easily to the mind. So thinking about it again and again. And by making, again and again, making prayer requests to the Guru as being inseparable from the Yidam. need to meditate and make requests to the Guru inseparable from them again and again, again and again. Need to make one's own prayers again and again. So this is just some introduction for today. It's something very important. There are 3 levels of subtleness of the body. There is a gross mind, there is a gross mind, then there is a subtle mind, which is our subtle mind, which is like the 6 root defilements and the 20 root defilements of mental factors. Then there is a very subtle mind of clear light, which is the most subtle mind that exists. And then also on the body also there are different levels of body. There's a gross body, a subtle body, a very subtle body. The subtle body, as is in the texts, in the scriptures, it says that we have the central channel, the right and left channel. Then there's the winds that goes inside this is called the subtle body. Our channels and inner energy winds, these are the subtle bodies. So the winds that flow within the right and the left channel, it is the subtle mind. The very subtle wind, it goes together with the very clear, very subtle mind of clear light. So we have also different levels of subtleness regarding the body, the winds, the mind. So first of all, when we meditate, we need to now we enter into generating the shamatha, the karma binding, as having the object of meditation, the mind. So for in order that you need to generate the karma binding as having the object of meditation, the very subtle mind itself. So it's very difficult to generate because the object of meditation itself is the mind. So it's the mind observing the mind itself. Normally when we do like in debating, we say, we are not able to look upon ourselves. But this is we are referring to the mind, the gross mind. The mind that we think about many things, and the mind that goes under the attached aversions and attractions. We are talking about that. When I talk about the subtle mind, this is not something that can come clearly, easily to our mind. So now it's the part in which we need to explaining how to generate the karma binding that observes one's own very subtle mind. So the point where we stopped yesterday, the profound path of Guru Yoga refers to a Guru Yoga in which all the paths are complete, which is set apart and rest is considered to have been understood. So it says the Guru Yoga that complete the whole path within it. So our Guru, his root Guru, is the one that holds within his mind the whole complete path to enlightenment. So to such root Guru that you see in this way, so it is having done the preliminary stage in this way, this is where we start for today. I shall explain now the method for achieving the abundance of mind, the karma binding. Now comes the root text. Within the state of being touched by the dissolution, set yourself in equal placement for a little while without creating any contrivance, with thoughts such as expectations, suspect, and so on. This does not mean, however, that you cease all attention, as if you had fainted or fallen asleep. Rather, you should procure an undistracted spy of mindfulness and tie the introspection that is aware of any mental movement to that post. Tighten your mindfulness and watch barely the mind, which is the entity of cognition and clarity. Should your mind give rise to any thoughts, simply recognize them, or like your opponent in a duel, cut thought, cut truth, cut thoughts immediately as soon as they occur. Once you have completely cut off and have settled your mind, then without losing mindfulness, loosen and relax its tightness. As has been said, loosen and relax its firm and tightness, and there is the settled state of mind. And elsewhere, when mind is snared in a tangle is relaxed, it frees itself without a doubt. Like these statements, relax but without any wondering. When you look at the nature of any thoughts that arise, it automatically disappears by itself, and a bare absence dawns. Likewise, when you inspect mind's nature when it is settled, it is known that a non-obstructive bare absence of cleared vividly, you see that the settled and moving minds are mixed together. Thus, no matter what thought arises, you should recognize it as a movement of mind without blocking it. And the settled name of its nature, it is the example of flying of a bird, of the flying of a bird confined on a boat, as it is said, just as a crown having flown from a ship after cycling the directions must realight on it. So was said is the root text. There are many lines about it, but now the commentary gradually brings the meaning of each lines. So it says, furthermore, is the entity of the samadhi that is to be achieved in a samadhi that has two branches. Intensity of clarity and the non-conceptualization of a single pointed. So in order to develop the shamatha, the karma binding mind, so it must have intensity and clarity. It needs to have strength. It needs to have strength. It needs to have intensity. When thinking about the object of meditation, the mind is very calm and relaxed, but it must be focused on the object. It must have some strength on the object of meditation. It's something very good. When the mind has this intensity and clarity, whatever you need to do, if you are studying, if you are praying, if you are reciting, if you are restudying, it doesn't matter. When you have the ability of intensity of clarity, this is something very good. It gives it like having the mind awaken. It's not enough just to be with intensity clarity, it must have a non-conceptualization that is single-pointed. Have a single-pointed concentration which is not being distracted into other objects, not being distracted to other objects. When it says non-conceptualization in this context, it means that it's not going into other objects. So it's a single-pointed concentration which is undistracted, not going into other objects. So such an authentic karma binding is the resulting from a single-pointed samadhi, which is the level of non-equal placement and the mind of the desire realm. When we talk about the actual shamatha, it's a state of mind which is also called a mind of the higher realms, such as in order to develop such a state of karma binding, we need to develop the ninth state of mind. There are 9 states of mind in order that needs to be developed. Once reaching at the 9th one, then this is the revive, and this is the mind. So the non-equal placement is the names that are given to the different states of consciousness. So the consciousness of the desire realm and the consciousness of the higher realms. So the non-equal placement is called the minds of the desire realm. So by developing the 9th level of mind state of concentration. So by that, as Maitreya and Uttara Tantra say, the karma binding is obtained from the cause, that is the abandonment of the 5 faults and the application of the 8 antidotes. Thus it is said that the karma binding is accomplished through 9 mental abidance. And we talk about the 5 faults is laziness, and procrastination, and distraction, and not applying the antidote, and applying it when it's not necessary. And there are the 8 antidotes, which is faith, intention, effort. And there is mindfulness, awareness. Then there is the emptiness, when the mind is distracted, to bring back the mind, and when the mind is not distracted, to let the mind relaxed. These are the 8 antidotes. So to the 5 faults, there are the application of the 8 antidotes. So, furthermore, these 9 mental abundance in a Sangha's collected words on the bhumis, on the stages, are taught to be accomplished by the 6 powers and 4 attentions. This is coming also in the teachings of the Lamrim. It's very clear in the Lamrim, as now I do not remember by heart, so I'm going to read it. So I'm going to read it from the text of the Lamrim. So there are 9 stages, which now is given the names of the 9 stages of karma binding, which are the 9 stages of karma binding. The 9 stages of mind before developing karma binding, which is very clear in the teachings of Lamrim. So the second one is Simbi, Gyuntu Chukpa. So Ormaja now is explaining the 9 states. The first one, like developing by the power of mind, by the power of awareness. Like the 7 and 8 are developed to the power of effort. So here are the five strengths. And the 9th state is developed by the power of familiarization, of acquaintance. First, you need to, by effort, need to put energy. Sometimes so this is also talking about, also in order to develop such good concentration, needs to have also the development of the flexibility of body and mind. So here, as it says in the text again, says that in the Asanga collected works on the bhumis, it's taught the accomplishment of the 6 powers and the 4 attentions. In the Lamrim, all of this is extremely clear in the Lamrim. Well, by observing what type of object of meditation does one cultivate samadhi comes a question. So the meditation on samadhi, on concentration, comes meditating on which object? In general, the Bhagavan taught an infinite number of objects of meditation, such as the pervasive objects, observed objects for throughout training in analysis, observed objects for learned ones. There are many objects, such as in the Lamrim teachings, like Lama Tsongkhapa said. There are all sorts of objects. such as the pervasive objects, that now I don't remember clearly. Then there is the observe objects for a throughout training, and the objects observed by learned ones, such as the 12 links of interdependence, and observe objects for a throughout purification of afflictions. There are many. There are countless ways, forms of objects of meditation. But since the majority of the previous lamas of this instruction have observed the mind and thus have recognized it, also here that very technique is followed. So we need to develop shamatha by observing the mind itself, which is, as most of the gurus of this lineage, they have taught shamatha by observing the mind itself. So we will follow here also. Generally speaking, it's very important to develop the shamatha by observing one's own mind. It is very precious, but it's not so easy also. But it's extremely important, the shamatha that realizes, that observes the mind. So for instance, the clear mind is a very, very subtle mind. If when we think about it, or who is thinking about it is the gross mind. The very subtle mind is not able at this moment to see the very subtle mind. So the object of perception is the very subtle mind. The one thinking is the gross mind, the one that is observing. The object is a very subtle mind, which is within ourselves. Is within oneself. By observing that, to generate the state of mindfulness, it is through the power of the object itself, shamatha becomes easier to develop. When observing a very subtle mind, the mind becomes more subtle. It is more difficult on an external object, truly. When we think about the objects, the visualization, they're like expanding outside and then reabsorbing inside. When they reabsorb within us, and then at that moment that we practice the shamatha, at that moment there is a very positive interdependence, through which it's easier to develop the shamatha and more easier and more stable. So was said by the teacher masters. Kyaje Trijang Dorje used to say, in the morning time, whatever work you need to do in the mundane way, in the morning time, it's more easy to start doing it in the morning. If you need to make business or anything, you open in the morning, clean it, and prepare it and everything. You start in the morning. In the same way, in the morning is the time that we need to prepare for the day by generating virtues. We need to start it in the morning. It is very good to start it in the morning. There is a specific type of interdependence from that. In the afternoon time, it's a moment where there is much more distractions in the afternoon, so it's much more difficult. In the evening, it's a moment that everything needs to be reabsorbed. It's the moment of conclusion. Like in the mountain way, okay, so it's okay, now I have finished, it's done. Also through that independence in the evening, out of its interdependence, is a good moment to bring back the mind into oneself. It is also good for that. Kyaje Trijang Dorje used to say this also. So, the very subtle mind of clear light, because it is very subtle, when we think about it, as it is a very subtle mind, and as it is something that is within ourselves, it's not outside. So, as we made by observing that, it is said that it's easier to develop the karma binding. Generally speaking, it's extremely difficult to recognize the mind, to develop one's own freedom of one's own mind, to be able to do whatever we direct the mind for the mind to follow. This is something very good. As it comes later, when we have freedom of mind, this is the state of Buddhahood, is also said. So, as the great masters of the past, as they were mostly observing the immediate samadhi by observing the mind, so will do furthermore by observing the Guru. Furthermore, by observing the Guru, tears falls from your eyes, and the body hairs move. You get goose peaks. Mentally, with an intense belief and respect, make an intensive and powerful request to him. From the depth of your heart for a long while. And then at the end of that, imagine that the Guru has absorbed in you and you are blessed. I think Panchen Losang Choky Gyaltsen was a great practitioner. Panchen Losang Choky Gyaltsen truly is someone that has put it into practice. Everything, whatever is there, has practiced, and not just whatever practice, true practice. Very good, very good quality, very good practice. If it's not like that, then it looks like the Guru, the Lama is just someone like playing, you know. If we don't think well, looks like someone just playing. So if we don't think well about the Guru, then it looks like just a sort of a game, not something serious. That's why we need to really think well about it. Furthermore, by observing the Guru, tears fall from your eyes and the body hairs move. Mentally, with an intense belief and respect, make an intensive and powerful request to him. For example, if you're going to meditate shamatha or vipassana, please make the request, oh, make my shamatha practice become well. You make a strong request. That from your heart for a long while. And then at the end, imagine that the Guru is happy, because if the Guru is judgmental, then he will not absorb into you. So imagine that the Guru is very happy, and by that, and then in a joyful way, then he absorbs into you. And by that, he blessed you. So think in that way. So in the beginning, think in this way. So at this point, while finding yourself in a mental state where you are knocked or touched by such meditation, you should not contrive any type of conceptualization, expectation, speculating that I will accomplish such and such temporal or ultimate goal, and worry thinking I may undergo undesirable things such and such in the short term and such in the long term. You, without tracing back to the past and planning anything to the future, and without any movement at the present, should equally place yourself in a state for a little while. When placing yourself on that mental state in that way, it is not that you have fainted or that you have blocked all your mental activities, like being asleep. That very unwaveringly remaining mind is undistracted and is such that it establishes a constant mindfulness which does not forget even the minor things. Through that observed object being bound by the rope of mindfulness, there could be a great risk for the mind to run if the mindfulness is decreased. Therefore, the guardian-like introspection that watches if the mind loses the intensity of mindfulness and moves elsewhere or not should be ready and keep mindfulness place on the object, on the observed object. It doesn't mention it. So the meaning of that thing, when staying in the state of mind which is like completely like empty. So once the object of meditation appears clear to the mind, the state of mind which is not too strong and it's not also not too relaxed also. It's like a middle way on the right amount. So that the object of meditation can appear clearly, not too strong, not too loose. It needs to be a state of mind which is relaxed but not too relaxed. This is what we call Nawa Pembom in Tibetan. So in this moment, when you have stayed within this state of mind, in this moment you should not stay in a state of mind of hope for the future, on the past or in the future. So being free from any sorts of doubts or projections and expectations. Having a relaxed state of being without any expectation and without any memories of the past. And not also thinking I will do this or that in the future. And also without any movement in the present. As the object of mind is just is one's own mind. It's a very clear, it's a very subtle mind of clear light. That's the object in which the mind should be placed. At that, through that observed this moment, it is not a state of mind that has blocked all sorts of mental activities. It's like following us shouldn't be like this. If you stop with this, then you cannot also observe the mind itself. It shouldn't be something like that. It's not a state of mind where everything is blocked, or all mental activity is blocked. If you block all mental activities, then it's not fine. If you stop it with too strong, then it becomes very rough, very gross, the mind. You need to leave the mind in this relaxed state still. So it's not, you should not stop every mental activity. By observing at the very subtle mind of clear light, that very unwavering remaining mind is undistracted. So not being distracted by other things. And is such that it establishes a constant mindfulness. Let's not forget even the minor things that can see clearly the object of meditation. Through that observed object being bound by the rope of mindfulness. So we are tightened by mindfulness. Without letting the mindfulness decrease, you're able to remain within mindfulness. If you let go of mindfulness, then many other projections and thoughts will arise to your mind. So therefore the garden-like introspection that watches the mind loses the intensity of mindfulness and moves elsewhere or not, should be ready and keep mindfulness placed on the object, on the observed object. So the mind is observing the very subtle mind of clear light. By remaining in that object, when the mind's and the intention gets longer, then we should bring the stronger. Or we have this mind that is like a spy that is observing what is happening to the mind, and am I being distracted? I'm not. We need to observe one's own mind. So we should have this awareness. As it says, the elephant-like mind that escapes out of control should be bound certainly to the firm pole, the observed object, with the rope of mindfulness, and it should be controlled gradually with the look of introspection. So if we think the mind, if the elephant should be tightened to a very strong pull, and so, but for this representing the object of meditation, and in order to do that, we need to have the memory or introspection and mindfulness. In short, for achieving a faultless samadhi, one should not pass beyond the mode of retaining the mind and introspection. Moreover, it is said that the mindfulness is principle, and if it is present, then the introspection takes place as a result of mindfulness. At that time, having stopped the other conceptions, if one ascertains the mind as clear and cognized, then behold just the bare entity with a mindfulness that is assiduous and single-pointed. Beholding it in that way, any mental movement and thoughts or thoughts such and such that arise should be recognized. Such recognition depends upon introspection. Observation. Well, it's very important. Mindfulness, it's very, very important. As is said in the Abhisamaya Alankara. Well, if we have good mindfulness, then it's very easy to develop shamatha, karma binding. If we don't have good mindfulness, then it's difficult. If we lose mindfulness and we're not able to keep our mindfulness, then it's very difficult to develop karma binding. So for achieving the faultless samadhi, one should not pass beyond the mode of retaining mindfulness and introspection. So mindfulness is extremely important. So from which mindfulness is the principal one. If you keep good mindfulness, then the introspection will come as a result of it. If you have good mindfulness as the main one, then it's like a small part of it, like a side of it. Checking the mind, checking if there is mental dullness, mental agitation, checking it is just a small part of this mindfulness, which is checking it, which is called introspection. The main one is mindfulness itself. Introspection is just a part of the mind by the side of it, which is just checking if there is any distraction or not, or any mental dullness. It is something like this. At that time, by stopping other mental wanderings and thoughts. So with mindfulness, the assiduous should be single point. So with mindfulness, then at that moment you think, oh, it's good, I'm able to concentrate well. So not losing the object of meditation by keeping it strong on the object of meditation, but not losing the object of meditation. And but keeping some attention, it not too much intentionate, but like relax, but at the same time with intention. Beholding in that way, any mental movements or thoughts that such and such arise should be recognized by the state of vigilance of the mind. Which though this mind have called, this thought have come, that thought have appeared. Slowly we need to think about which one. Okay, and we can like let these thoughts go away. Then after that, then through mindfulness, we go back again into the object of meditation, single-pointed. This is what is being said by the mind of the part of vigilance, technique of combat, in which one expect in arrow, or just as in the technique of combat of the one expert in arrow and the one expert in sword, mentioned in the Vinaya scripture. strengthen mindfulness and vigilance and step over them, and you should not let them continue when stopping immediately any arousal of concentration. At the end of stopping, the continuous concept, and by stopping any arousal of conceptualization, and the end of stopping the continuous conceptualization, when the mind remains without wandering, constrict yourself, without losing mindfulness and introspection or vigilance, then procure the mind to be settled suddenly and let it in the state of equal placement. Like when throwing an arrow on its own place. If we are not able to see the place where we should shoot the arrow, then we are not able to throw the arrow clearly. Similar to that. Whatever minds that appear, whatever other thoughts that appear, we should, if we're able to cut it right away as soon as it appears, there is no point. There is no meaning of thinking, there is no need of such thoughts. It's very good to remain without such other thoughts. As soon as it appears, if we're able to cut them in this way, once eliminating these other thoughts, then bringing the mind on in a very stable way, without any change, without losing one's own mindfulness and vigilance. So the mind being clear and with strength, but at the same time relaxed. When there is too much vigilance, then you can have also mental agitation. The mind should be in a state that is at the same awakened, but at the same time very, very relaxed also. Sometimes we forget about not thinking about the mind itself. Then we are thinking about going and coming and whatever we say. So with that nice advice, we should go beyond that and we should just think about the mind itself, just go back and relax within that state. So by that we should gradually develop the state of shamatha. So as Machi Labdrung said, loosen and relax its firm tightness. And there is the settled state of mind. Furthermore, the great Brahmin also said, when mind ensnared in a tangle is relaxed, it frees itself without a doubt. Thus, one should make sure that the mind is being basically tight but well settled. Leave it just as it is then, because if you over-tighten it, mental excitement can arise. When you think that the mental excitement is about to arise, you should slightly loosen it, then leave it just as it is. Even if you over-loosen it, mental laxity can arise. So, for example, when you're object to the very subtle mind of clear light, at that moment, as you're keeping the mind, you keep the mind tighten, but at the same time slightly loosen, relaxed. Somehow relaxed also at the same moment. So if the mind is the object of meditation, the mind of clear light is clearly to the mind as you meditate, then it's okay. But if you tighten it too much, then your mental excitement can arise. Then if you loosen it too much, then mental laxity can arise. So you need to find a way in between the two. So the mind that is clearly in the object needs to remain on the object of meditation in between these two, without any other thoughts, without any other projections and thoughts. So when you think that the mental laxity is about rest, tighten it a little bit and it will be just right. So you need to check one's own mind, to check if am I tightening too much, I'm losing it too much. You need to observe it. So whatever mental laxity or agitation that arises, or I need to stop it completely, or I need to gradually let it go away. And when it goes away, then we need to go back again strongly to the object of meditation. Each time when there is abidance, one should be conscious of mental laxity and then place the mind, as Acharya Chandragumi said, when I exert effort, mental excitement occurs. When I abandon it, slackness arises. So when it is difficult to find the right equal placement, my mind disturbs, whereby what shall I do? It's difficult to find the right state in between the two. When one is completely well concentrated in the mind, if you check too much, then if you tighten too much the extension, then it goes to mental excitement. If you loosen too much, then you enter into mental laxity. To find a state in between, it's something very difficult. Vajrasattva said, so meditating single-pointed in the mind itself, in this moment, without letting the mind go into mental laxity or agitation. And whenever we see that any mental laxity or agitation appears, then we need to tighten the mind. And by that needs to meditate on the state of shamatha. During that time, you are stepping over the thoughts, and when you look at the nature of any thoughts, at every moment as the thoughts arise, as they arise automatically, disappears themselves, and a total vacuum dawns. Likewise also, so whenever any other thoughts that arise to our mind, if we look at it, say, okay, what objects appear to our mind, what is coming to my mind, what is the meaning of what is coming to my mind, if we think a little bit about it, then slowly it dissolves by itself also. When it dissolves, then you go back again to the object of meditation. Automatically disappear themselves and the total vacuum dawns. Likewise also, when you inspect the mind's nature, when it is settled without moving, it is seen to be a non-obstructive, a total vacuum and vividly clear. So first, there being no difference between the former state of mind and the later state of mind is called the mixture of the settled and moving minds, a convention widely known among great yogis. In the beginning, when you are single-pointed, concentrated. So you need to concentrate single-pointed at one's object. First, the mind is single-pointed concentration. Later, as it appears in the aspect of the many other different thoughts, and as you let it go and you go back into the single-pointed concentration. It's a very good state of mind. So the name that is given to it, the mixture of the subtle and moving minds, which is widely known among the great yogas. Or there are different ways that we can do. Or one should carry out mental abundance as the following method. No matter what thought arises, just find out where they come from and where they go, without blocking them. Observe the nature of those thoughts and leave them as they are. At the end of leaving them as they are, the mind stops its discursive thoughts and it abides. This would be similar to a crow that has kept for a long time in a ship in the ocean, who flies at the ocean, as the Doha says. Just as a crow having flown from a ship after cycling the directions must realign on it. So the gross mind that observes the very subtle mind with a single-pointed concentration, at that moment that the mind is very well concentrated, it's similar to what already came before, but it's like repeating different ways of dealing with it. So whatever mindset appears to the mind, if it's a reaction to attraction, to anger, to jealousy, to envy, any mind of joy or unhappiness or whatever thought that arises, don't need to try to eliminate it right away. So just observe it. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? How is it entering into the object? Just observe the mind, relax, just like observe it. And by that, naturally, the mind will disappear. It will fade away by itself once we actually observe the thought in this way. By observing this way, the thought will fade away. Then again you go back into single-pointed into the object of meditation in the moment that thought stops and fades away. Just for example, when you have like a crown, a bird that has been kept for a long time in a ship in the ocean, in the great ocean, in the ship, if there is a bird living on the ship, if it goes for flying, it goes flying. As it flies, it doesn't find anywhere else where to land. So finally, it comes back again into the boat. Just in the same way. Similar to that, the thoughts, when they appear, and when they stop coming around, then they go back to the single contrast. Similar to the bird that flies around, which is the many thoughts coming, but finally it will come back again to the same place, which is the mind itself. Also, Dragon says, do not view the thoughts and superstitions as false. Do not meditate purposely on a non-conceptual thought. Leave the mind its own mode and satisfy. A meditation on the basis of karma binding will then start. I think it was a Kadapa Geshe, but I'm not sure. He says, when training in the mind of shamatha, when the madre comes here, don't think, oh, this is bad. When thoughts arrive, don't see it as something negative. Don't see it as false. Don't think it's something negative. Don't think, oh, this is harming my meditation or anything like that. Don't do that. So, and don't put so much effort to bring back your mind to the state of concentration. Just leave your mind in its own mode. Just leave it in its own state, relaxed. So just as when you were in the single-pointed concentrated state, just leave it in the same state, relaxed. And then apply the spy, apply the mind of vigilance. And then a meditation on the base of calm binding will then start. So in thinking about it again and again and again and again, then slowly shamatha can come quite easily. Furthermore, in the moderate trainees can preserve the placement of mind by the way of 6 techniques. They will become the king of instructions. It's a way of thinking. So nowadays, these days, practitioners, to preserve the placement of mind, the state of concentration, by the way of 6 techniques. Which are the 6 techniques? Placing it like a sun free of cloud, placing it like a Garuda soaring in the sky, placing it like a ship in a big ocean, placing it like a small boy who watching shrine, watching shrine, place it like a trace after a bird flies, placing it like a corded cotton wool. With these techniques of placing the mind, a yogi will have his aim. This means, first, for instance, just as the sun is free of clouds, remaining very bright and clearly, the clear light, that is the nature of the mind, is not obscured by the conception of sights of true existence, such as superstitions, mental excitement, and so on, whereby it is not blocked. The example is quite clear. Just as the sun is free from the nature of having clouds, our mind in the same way, the mind of clear light, or the nature of mind, is like free of the nature of the clouds. The mind is not obscured by itself. When I say the nature of the mind is clear, I say the nature of mind is the nature of clear light. When I think about what it means by that clear light, I have 2 different types of understanding of it. When I talk about the mind, that the mind is not of true existence. It lacks inherent existence. Its own nature, it is empty of inherent existence. Or mind the nature of one's own mind, the actual mind, the true mind, the natural mind, it is like this, free of the stages of anger and aversion. The states of anger and attachment, so on, are momentary minds, which they cannot, these other states of mind, they cannot mix with the very subtle mind. Different stages of mind. The momentary minds, we can stop it. The very subtle mind of clear light, we cannot stop it, we cannot eliminate it. So it says the momentary defilements, they are not mixed within the mind. So mind itself lacks inherent existence. This is also the meaning of being in the nature of clear light, of the pure nature of the mind has these 2 meanings. Of the nature of clear light of the mind. Second, for instance, when Garuda moves in the sky, it moves by its own force without needing any extra effort or flapping the wings and so on. Similarly, one should carry out the placement of mind without over-tightening or over-loosening the mind by having an intensity of clarity of the observed object due to being tightened or not going beyond the net of mindfulness and vigilance due to being loosened temporarily. It's true like this when we look as a great bird like the Garuda flying high in the sky in Tibet and India. We see the birds flying, we see many birds flying very high in the sky. It looks like very nicely as they fly, very smooth. They don't need to measure their wings, just very slightly, very smoothly. It looks like without much effort. Don't need to put much strength. They can fly very smoothly, just in the same way as the eagles fly in such smooth way. Similar, we need to think similar to that. Not having the mind to tighten or not to have any mind to loosen. Just as the eagle flying in the sky, one's mind should be in the same way, similar to that. If we think about this example, these metaphors, they help very much. I need to make my mind similar to that. By thinking about the examples, the metaphors, they help a lot. The metaphors help a lot. The third, for instance, when the great ocean is moved by wind, through its superficial waves are wavered, the ocean itself cannot be wavered. Likewise, when placing the mind on its observed object, although it is waved by certain subtle conception, it is not waved even a little by the gross conception. For example, when going on the big ocean out of wind, it moves. There are many different waves that are coming. Whether it's a big boat going, wherever the big boat needs to go, it can go very well, even though there are different waves around. Similar to that, when we are meditating, we're single-pointed, even if there are many other thoughts that may come. We don't let the mind go into the nature of these other thoughts, it remains in its own objective. And like naturally we let this mind stop, so it's not harming the meditation object itself. Just like a big boat on the ocean that is not harmed by the waves that arise in the ocean. So one is meditating on the very subtle mind of clear light, clearly whatever other thoughts arise, they're not able to harm the object of meditation in this way. So by remaining single-pointed, concentrated, something like this is being explained. The fourth says, for instance, when a small boy watches a shrine, he would not engage in investigation and analysis with respect to subtle details of the drawing. He would rather watch the gross and the clear part of the drawing without distractions. Likewise, when placing the mind on its observed objects, regardless or to the dawning of anything, pleasant or unpleasant, as an object of the consciousness of the 5 century doors, it is placed single-pointedly on its observed object, without being affected by investigation and analysis, and attachment or hatred. It's like when a small child looks at things, they just see the gross level, they cannot see the many details of it. Similar to that, when our mind observes the object of meditation, even though other things come to the mind of attraction and aversion, we don't let ourselves be taken by that and remain single-pointed on the object of meditation. Just as the example of the small child looking in the temple with so many objects but remains with the mind single-pointed but in a more gross way. The fifth, for instance, there does not exist any imprint of a bird's fly in the sky. Likewise, when placing the mind on its object, it is equally placed without letting it under control of attachment, hatred, and close-mindedness, no matter what type of feeling, pleasure, pain, or equanimity occurs. It says, like when a bird flies in the sky, there is no like imprints of the birds flying in the sky. In the same way, likewise, when it's in equal placement, without letting it under control of attachment, of aversion, and so on. So we need to stay in the state of meditation without letting oneself be driven by attraction and aversion and so on. For example, when staying in the meditation, when comes in a sensation of pleasure, not having attachment to that sensation, when having a sensation of suffering, not letting oneself generating aversion to it, or having a neutral sensation, not generating a state of ignorance related to that, not letting oneself be taken by such states of attraction, aversion, or indifference to whatever sensation that appears. The sixth says, for instance, when carding a cotton wool, one leaves it soft and lighten it up. Likewise, when equally placing the mind on its observed object, it is equally placed by making it free of the three manifesting poisons and the coarse contact of mental laxity and mental excitement. For example, when carding a cotton wool, something needs to be done in a very soft way, in a very loosened way. So that during the state of equal placement, the mind should be very soft also in this way, very relaxed in one's own object of meditation, very soft. So many things have been said about how to meditate, how to generate the state of mind of shamatha. So for oneself, whatever comes easily to your own mind, you need to think about it again and again. It's very good if you can think about it. Maybe it's not easy to realize that shamatha is something quite very difficult to realize. But still, it's something that we truly need it. Without shamatha, it's not possible to have vipassana, the profound view. Without profound view, we cannot gain any of the realizations of the path truly. For those that have the causes and the fortune, you can able to realize the shamatha. We are not all equal in this sense. We have different karma, different merits, different conditions. So for those that have the right conditions that can realize shamatha, this is something that is extremely good. So we need to make our own prayers on that. May I be able to realize shamatha and vipassana. May I be able to meditate well, may be able to meditate well on the profound view. At least we should make our own prayers in relation to that, as much as we can. As the main thing, as we go into the Mahamudra, it's mainly of practice, it's nothing else but how to practice it. As Panchen Losang Choky Gyaltsen, he already concluded his own practice. He's just sharing with us as he did his own practice. how we should practice also. As he composed such texts explaining the way of practice. And we received such precious instructions, and we should see, oh, it is like this, like with great joy as we receive it, then we should do our own practice on that. This is something very good if we can think it on this way. Then comes after the question, well then, how should this very path be recognized by the way of its own entity? And the root text says, such nature of mind is indeed seen directly by the higher seeing vipassana, but it cannot be verbally indicated or apprehended as this. Therefore, leave whatever arises in a flowing manner without grasping. Most of the great meditators of the snow moons nowadays are of single opinion in proclaiming that this is a guideline indication how to grab the state of Buddhahood. This is true indeed, and I, Choky Gyaltsen, say that this technique is a wondrous skillful means for beginners to accomplish the settling of their mind, and is a way that leads you to recognize merely the conventional nature of mind. Thus it is described, and now in particular I make the promise to present how to introduce ourselves to the reality of mind. So one's meditating on the shamatha, then what type of results we get from that, what benefits are from that, and so on. This comes first of all a question behind, so, well, how should the path be recognized by the way of entity? So the shamatha that observes the mind itself, so its nature will appear very clearly. So when I say the definition of mind is it's a clearly and cognitive. When I say clearly, clear, it means that the object is clearly. We need to understand the meaning of clear when in the definition of mind. Clear and cognitive is the definition of the mind, that it has the ability of, that it makes the actions of seeing the object. Rigpa cognitive means as a side of it, as a help over it. When I say clear and cognitive, if we can understand well the meaning of it when I think about it, it helps to generate great effort. I think like this myself. When I say clear and cognitive, which is the definition of the mind. It's not something that we can see with the eyes, it's not something that we can touch with the hands. It's not completely, it's not a natural form. If we look at something just like space, it's empty as space in a way. It is not natural form. It has no touch. It's just empty like space. Mind itself. But still, when we think clearly about it, the mind itself is not something that it doesn't exist. It's not like the horns of a rabbit and so on, or the flowers of the sky. They're all like examples of things that don't exist. That we say it's not like that. Something that we cannot see or we cannot touch, even though it's not like this, it is something that exists. When we talk about the clear and cognitive of the mind, it's something that does exist. It's something that does exist, and it only exists as the mere imputation of the name. And it doesn't matter how much knowledge and we put information we put inside, it's never empty. It's just full. It doesn't never get too full. It gets full when we reach a state of enlightenment. Inside of this, of one's own mind, it doesn't matter how much knowledge and memories and we put, there is always space for it. There is, until you reach enlightenment, there are still things that you can put into it. It is like this. Every day that our life passes, everything that we learn and so on, inside a clear and cognitive mind, there is always space for it to put it inside. Today, tomorrow, every day, until the state of enlightenment. When it's reached the state of enlightenment, then you have already gained the maximum of qualities. There is nothing more than you can develop out of that. Until then, there is also the negativities. It doesn't matter how much negativities you put it inside it, always there is space within it. Like when we talk in the very lower realms, such as the low, like the Vajra hell and so on. And like the lower states of the hells. There is no worse place that one can be than that. If we take from the negative side, there is nothing worse than that one can go to. But like the space in the mind, doesn't matter how much negativity you do, the mind can always have space for all of that. When we think about this aspect, we can put a lot of qualities in our mind. We need to put qualities within our mind by practicing virtues, by making our meditations, by doing the practice, accumulate as much as merit as you can. You need to fill up your mind with qualities, and then by that it gradually develops more and more. I think in this way, when we talk about the clarity and cognitive, which is the definition of mind by mind, when we think about the mind itself. When it's clear, it's because it does the action of seeing phenomena. This is which is explaining like the logics. It was explaining so it's explained that the nature of the mind of familiarization. When you get familiarized with something, that it comes very similarly, just like a desire. When it appears and then you get used to it, then it becomes very easily similar to that. This aspect of clarity of the mind is a quality of the mind. Because I think it's beneficial to understand the nature of the mind. I think about, I'm just sharing with you what are my thoughts. I'm not saying that my thoughts are 100% correct. I'm just sharing with you my own views, my own thoughts. The action of the mind. Think like the horn of a rabbit and things that they have no actions that can be done. When we talk about the mind itself, it has the actions of seeing objects. It makes actions of accumulating merits or negativities and so on. It has many different actions. From body, speech and mind, the mind is the most important of all. Well, you know all of this, there is no need to say much about it. So the true nature or true natural mind is a very good mind, is the mind of clear light. All the other aspects of mind are just like reflections upon one's own mind. Don't you think there is no point of using all these other thoughts? They are not my true nature. By remaining in such state of meditation, such samadhi is so developing an experience which is free of the identification, saying this is this or that is that. Such a samadhi is a single pointed of mind and the desire, no matter how firm it is. It is not accomplished by the bliss of pliancy. So if you do not develop the flexibility of the mind, of body and mind, then have not truly developed the ultimate state of samaya. So we'll stop at here for today, which is the main part of how to develop shamatha and the 9 states of the mind for equal placements. When I went there, there was one, Gyaltsen, was very famous master, great master, with great practice, was incredible, Gyaltsen. So normally I was saying that he had realizations. He was a great knowledge, incredibly real practitioner, great siddha, great. Wherever he would be, once he would sit in one place, he would not even move at all. He would stay very stable. That when we go in the debate of Sedache, and I would go many times, I was many times near to him. It was very hot. In the fourth month, it was very hot. We were very hot in the debate place. At the time I was sitting together with him in the debate, I was near to me. This master was there, and he would sit. As soon as he would sit, he had not moving at all. He was very stable. I thought that he fell asleep. I thought that he was sleeping. Slowly, I put my knees on the floor, and then I was getting more near and looking to his face. I was very young. I could easily put the knees in the floor at that time. And slowly I came and I looked clearly to his face. When meditating, that having the eyes looking slightly to the floor, he had exactly like that, looking with the eyes looking towards the tip of the nose. Even though we were very hot, he was like sweating a lot. I myself was sweating also. It doesn't matter if he was sweating or he was not moving or anything, he was not looking to the sides or anything. Doesn't matter, wherever it was in the pujas, in the debate, everywhere he would stay single-pointed in this way. So I saw it like this myself during the debate sessions. And he was the number 1 from the Geshe Larams. And he was crying when he got that number 1. So his disciple said, oh, he got the number 1 of the Lampa. Why he's crying? There is no need to cry. He was saying, he said, if I get the number 1, then Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings are already being degenerated. Because he said the only one that was crying once receiving the best recognition, has the best level of the exams. He's the only one crying, and this is also true. There was another Geshe Thubten from the Albagnano. He was also a great scholar. Also Param Geshe. When going into the Seda Tantric College, when they would go, they would meet between each other. That time, Tenzin, he said to Gyaltsen, today you did your Geshe debate ceremony and you received the first level. So he said, and he answered to him quite strongly, he said, what is that? To receive the number one is nothing. Even the horses, they get this when they're going on a race, you know. When they like horse race, they also get the number one. So he was saying, Gyaltsen. There was a master that he had a statue of Lama Chopa, in which it was two tooths which born into the statue. The Gyaltsen, the previous one, I never met him. The Gyaltsen which I'm talking about now, he gave this statue was given to him. And then at time again another tooth was born into the statue. Finally three tooths were born on the statue. So normally this would say that in the statue three tooth was born in this statue. He was like with great, but he was never showing anything as being a big scholar. He was very humble. There are many monks from the Kham region that were going like with a lot of importance, and like between them there is a way of showing. Can say even though people even would not know so much because he was very humble the way when he would go to Nurbulink and to Lhasa, he was not showing anyone any of this attitude of being important or anything like that. Just like a normal person. There are people that would come to sell meat. He would never buy meat from them. If he would like to buy meat, he would go directly up to Lhasa to buy meat. Whatever reasons it was, this was called King Chansen. Then later, there he was appointed as the abbot of first Gyugno, then discipline master, then the abbot of the monastery. So he said, I'm not accepting this, I'm asking to come down. Then he said, oh, you're not going to be the discipline master, don't worry, you will not. First he was appointed as discipline master, and then he accepted not to be discipline master, and slowly he left from the monastery. There is a retreat place near that. After becoming Geshe, he went to a big retreat in this retreat place. And he went to Woka Cheling, where is the place where Lama Chopa did retreat, and he heard at that time he was there realizing shamatha, the same place where Lama Chopa did his own practice of accumulation and purification. So he went to there and he was staying there during day and night meditating. By observing the mind, I heard that he went there to realize shamatha by that observing the mind itself. The shamatha that observes the mind. Well, from my same class, there was another from Ganden Mahamudra. There was also. We were together in Baksa also. He went for pilgrimage in Loka. At the time, Gyaltsen was there, as they are from the same town, original place of birth. They are both from Lakampa, from a place called Konzarawa. The time Gyaltsen is also from the same place, from the same birthplace. So he went to see him, and then Gyaltsen, he brings a very strong tea, and he put butter inside and he said, oh, please take some tea. He was a bit sick. So he said, if you're a bit sick, don't stay here, come back to the Seda monastery. You have many disciples there. Otherwise, we need to call some disciples from Seda here to take care of you. If you are a bit sick, it's not easy, he told him. And then Genjan thought, I don't need any of this to this, this body that where our negativity is ripened. There is nothing on it. We cannot have any interest on it anyhow. So Genjan, he was meditating on the developing shamatha by meditating on the mind, as we have said yesterday. As the great Shantideva said, talk about a way of practicing, he says you were just practicing as Shantideva instructed. So I'm just like by side, sharing some their biography of great practitioners. It is like this. So we will stop here for today. So whatever I have been said in this way, you please put it into practice as we dedicate our merits for the great enlightenment of all sentient beings and for the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa to remain stable and spread.
Jesus. Yeah.